Okay. Oh, great.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين صلى الله عليه وسلم. My respected brothers and sisters, alhamdulillah, blessed us. And we're able to come to بيت من بيوت الله لنتدارس بعضا من آيات القرآن ونتعلم. So if you came, Allah chose you. وهذه نعمة وما الحمد لله الذي وفقنا لهذا والذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا نهتدي لولا أن هدانا. By the way, sit closer. The yard is actually more. I'm not making this up. Now there are wall to like those who need the wall, then that's fine. Those who don't need the wall, then they should come. There's actually an instant when you enter the masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he was given actually. So one sat very close and one stayed way. So the Prophet commented on this. There's more blessing for the closer. If you're closer, nice. Too far, then it just disturbs the city. And that's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, so when we gather, مجتمع قوم في بيت من بيوت الله, like us, we are a group of people, group of Muslims, group of believers, we gathered in the house of Allah with only one purpose. What is the purpose? لنتدارس القرآن ونتعلم من القرآن الكريم طبقا لسنة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. When you sit in that gathering, Allah said, Malaika surround this gathering. How? I mean, right now there is Malaika. One one speaking. لكن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قوله الحق ويقول الحق هو الصادق المصدوق لا ينطق عن الهوى. Not only that, and mercy and tranquility and peace descend upon these people, upon the one who's sitting in the Halaqah of Dhikrullah, and your name is mentioned of better gathering with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not only that, when this gathering is finished, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُومُوا مَغْفُورٌ لَكُمْ. Hadith al-Qudsi. Allah changed their sayyat with hasanat. يبدل الله سيئاتهم حسنات. Right then I said, Ya Allah, among them there are people who showed up, their intention was not to sit in the dust. But they're inside the sat. They also Allah. هم القوم لا يجلسون. They are the company, the companion, that no one, everyone that becomes sit with them, they get the benefits. Even if the intention was not to sit in the dust. So that is the benefit of being in dust. So every Jum'ah, most of us, and in fact, probably all Muslims read Surah Al-Kahf. Correct? Everybody. In fact, almost everybody memorizes it. But this surah is the great surah. Scholars call it Al-Ismatu min al-Fitan bima'rifat Surah Al-Kahf. That is to protect yourself from tests and from troubles by knowing the surah. The whole Quran is good, and every surah has its purpose. But since we read Surah Al-Kahf, and we will encourage, and I advise myself and you that reading Surah Al-Kahf every Friday is great. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, من حفظ أول 10 آيات من سورة الكهف. Whoever memorized the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf, هذه 10 آيات تقيم فتنة الدجال. Why is that important? We are at a time when the fitan are even greater. Their magnitude is big. And when we depend on our own thinking and our own logic, we cannot defend ourselves. But when we depend on Allah, when we understand that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed the Quran so we can implement in our lives. فلذلك النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم the ayah was revealed, يا ربي إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا. Now this ayah was revealed while Sahaba were there. Allah, oh Allah, my people have abandoned the Quran. Imagine today, we're all guilty of not paying attention to the Quran. We have those who read, but they don't understand. And we have those who read to gain some form of recognition. And we have those who read just once in a great while. And we have those who don't read at all. Way when they remember to read. But the book of Allah is meant to be read and practiced. So in the surah mentioned 4 fitna, Surah Al-Kahf. So there are 4 tests. And we're not going to go into every story with details, but we will talk about the benefit of each of that and how can we avoid falling victims to these 4 tests and failing. So Allah will give a test to a slave that he can pass. Allah does not give a test that you cannot pass. But it's our desire, and what we desire sometimes does not fall with what Allah wants. So we fail. The issue here is if we fail, how then do we come back? How do we recover? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doors is open for those who always want to seek repentance. It's not in my hand, it's not in anybody's hand. So Allah bada'a as-surah by giving the cure from these 4 fitna. Allah said, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب. What is the kitab? كتاب الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. There is no bend in the Quran. There is no twisting. There is no wishy-washy things. It's just قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ما لهم من علم كبرت كلمة تقولون فإن يقولون So that the beginning of the surah gives the cure from those fitna. The first fitna in the surah وهي فتنة الدين. Test of religion. Allah mentioned Ahlul Kahf, the people, the young people of the cave. Allah talked about them. إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم. So the first thing they did, they were young and they believed in their messenger that Allah sent to them. And the scholars say they were from wealthy families. So these people, they were from wealthy family, young men from wealthy family, and they lived in palaces. But they accepted Islam. They accepted the deen of Allah. When they did, but their family and the people of the time, they were not Muslims. Now they began to create fitna test for these people to abandon their beliefs. This is exactly what happened. And we can look at that, what Allah said to them, فَأْوُوا إِلَى الْكَهْفِ. Leave the palaces, leave the open spaces, and go to the cave. But the cave only have one opening. Caves do not have two openings. Only one entrance. So it's enclosed, it is tight, it's small. But Allah, with believing Allah, it becomes better than the palace. They enter into the cave. Allah, as He guides them to enter into the cave, even the dog is honored with them. The dog is honored with the young men, and they escaped with their faith. What do we learn from that story? We learn that if the environment is not correct, if the environment is rough, you cannot practice your religion, you must escape. You must seek other land where you can practice the deen. If your children are going to be lost and not able to practice the deen, take your children and find a place where you can learn it. We must make hijrah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just like Ahl Kahf did. Why? They chose Allah. Allah saved them for 309 years asleep. That even a person would pass by them, and if he would take a look, his heart would be filled with fear that he couldn't even tell about them. Because time is in the hands of Allah. Time is nothing to Allah. Allah can stop time. Allah can make time move. 309 years is a lot of years, but there's nothing to Allah. So we learn from that first fitna is that deen is most important in our life. And it's most important for me, for my family, and for my community. So we live here in this country. Most of us, they will say and argue, well, our country have troubles as well. You can't practice. You go anywhere in some place in the Middle East and here and there, you see they have a big beard, they'll take you to jail. Or you're not going to be able to practice your deen. You're not going to be able to say a whole lot. So you come here. You're here, but guess what? Your niyyah has to always be to be with the Muslim. Your niyyah has to always be to practice your deen, to spread that deen with your characters and with your tongue and with your ability, any ability you have. Your goal should and focus should always be, how can I fulfill the commandments of Allah? How can I fulfill the what is required of me? And how can I teach my children to do the same? Because the third generation, when they come here, mashallah, they practice. They're in the masjid. They're everywhere. You see them in the masjid, mashallah. The next generation, they're like 70%. The third generation, I don't know, maybe 50%, maybe less. Because the community is really weak. It's not very strong. Like, I understand that this masjid, for example, has 1,000 members or more. But realistically, if all of us come here and pray, there would be no space. Correct? Because that masjid cannot take 1,000. Realistically, if we sit down. But that's not the situation. Now, we're not saying people are there, they're not going to other masjid, they're not praying, but we're just saying that what is our focus? Where are we going? Are we having fitna going on in our life? The fitna. If a job pays you so well, but takes you away from the deen, leave it. Leave it. If a business leads you to commit wrong, leave it. Always seek what brings you closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in order to survive that. So this is هذه فتنة وهي فتنة عظيمة. وهي فتنة عظيمة. أما الفتنة الثانية فهي فتنة المال. Allah talked next story in Surah Al-Kahf. Allah talked about two friends. One is wealthy. Allah says He gave him two nice Jannah, orchard, big nice gardens, river flow through them. And instead of him being thankful to Allah, he thought he deserved that. Basically, it's like, no, Allah favored me and did not favor you. You're the poor. You have nothing. Not only that, and I believe if I die, I will even do better things. Adi fitna. Some of us come with money, some of us don't come with money. Some of us make money. When we make money, what do people do? People begin to think of other things. Allah says in Surah Iqra, أَرَأَيْتَ الَّذِي يَنْهَى عَبْدًا إِذَا صَلَّى. Look at the one who prevents the slave from performing the salah for Allah and Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah continued to say, كَلَّا إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى. A human being transgress أَرْبَعَهُ اسْتَغْنَى. When he does not need Allah in a sense that Allah provided him wealth, Allah provided him health, Allah provided him things of this world. So the man, when he, one man said that he was in haram and he was making the dua. The Shaykh is making the dua of Allah and all the long dua, and then he comes in, Allah maqdid dayna an al-madini. Ya Allah, pay the debt of those who are in debt. So one man heard this and said, that's what I've been waiting for. Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. Now, compared to a rich person who doesn't know anything, really. In fact, he's probably a lender of that matter. The same feeling is not the same from the poor and from the rich. So, the man with the gardens thought that he's deserving of that wealth because of his intelligence, just like Qarun said, إِنَّمَا أُوتِيتُهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ عِنْدِي. I brought it because of my intelligence. It's because of my skills. No, it's not that at all. It doesn't matter what we do. Our risk is the same. Our risk, anywhere we go, either you follow it or it follows you. No doubt. And no one controls it. So his poor friend told him, but if you would have gone and thanked Allah. How do you thank Allah? You thank Allah from the same ni'mah that He gives you. You cannot thank Allah. For example, if Allah gives you money, being in the masjid all day long and say, I thank Allah for that ni'mah, it's not good. You must give from what Allah gives you. Allah give you wealth, give from that. Allah give you time, give from that. Allah give you knowledge, give from that. That يعني هنا يعني بقول لك إنه لابد تكون من جنس النعمة. يعني it should be related to the ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed you. You're good at teaching, teach people. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you that ability, so do so. So he refused and he said, no, I will get more. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala destroyed his gardens. And then he regret. He had regret. Just like the three brothers or four brothers. No, three brothers, when they had the garden, same thing. Their father used to give them more. Allah gave them beautiful garden. So every time before the harvest, the poor would show up. And he would give big portion to these people. So every year they come. When he died,
merge onto I-270 South.
the children gathered. Look, our father gave a lot of this fruit to these poor people. Why don't we just not give? So the one in the middle said, I think we should reconsider.
What's the exit?
But they didn't. Said, listen. فأقسموا لا يصرمنها مصبحين. They're gonna go early before the poor shows up. Because people come in the morning. If you ever been back home, a lot of time when you harvest, the poor people show up like when you're harvesting, and you give them some wheat, you give them some this, give them some this. But these people decided that they were going to go before Fajr. فطاف عليها طائف من ربك وهم نائمون. They were asleep, and their plan was to go the next day early before Fajr to harvest the fruits so they cannot give them. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent fire and it destroyed all of it. When they came to the government, they said, is this our place? Are we lost? So that's our place. Then the one in the middle said, didn't I tell you? Be thankful to Allah. Allah bless you with all of this. And you're greedy, you know, when you want to share with the poor. That fitna that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So people sometimes think they're blessed because they have all these worldly things. All these worldly things are really fitna. It's not that you don't want to have it. No, all of us love money. Who doesn't want to have money? But we must understand that it is a fitna. We must not employ it in haram. We must not seek it from haram. We must give its rights in zakat and sadaqah in order for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect it and to increase it. So that's the second fitna. Third fitna is fitna al-ilm. That is the fitna of knowledge. People who have knowledge, subhanAllah, they can be great and they can be really bad. It just depends. If they're blessed and they're good, they benefit themselves, they benefit their family, they benefit the community, and all of you. But if they're not good, that knowledge becomes a disastrous on them. But fitnatul ilm, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the story as an example. You must have tawadu, humiliate yourself when you're learning, when you're seeking knowledge. Humble yourself toward Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Have taqwa, Allah will teach you. Wattaqullah wa yu'allimukum. Musa alayhi salam stood and is even in a big gathering, and then somebody asked him, Ya Musa, Ya Nabi Allah, said, Man a'lamu ahli, who is the most knowledgeable on this earth? They said, me. He said, I am. Now Musa alayhi salam was probably correct, because he was the only prophet. And his speak of that was not to displease Allah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to also teach Musa, refer that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala هو العليم وفوق كل ذي علم عليم. Above everyone who have knowledge, there is one more knowledge. So when you go to the library have hundreds of books, maybe thousands of books. No way that we know all these books. We may know one part, one section of the library. So Musa alayhi salam said, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them, we have a slave, you should go and learn from that same learner. So here, in that story, we also learn two things. When we seek in knowledge, we must humble ourselves. Not only that, we should look at the qadarullah and accept. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had predestined for you or me, we should accept. We do our best, but we cannot save everything. You know, doctors do their best, and sometimes the patient dies. It's in the hands of Allah. So Musa alayhi salam made it, and he, now look at this in the journey as he tells his Yusha, who was his companion at the time, and he said, look, I will not leave until I find this man, even if I spend Uqba said about 80 to 83 years in search of that knowledge until he finds it. I'm that age, and what can I do? And I don't mean so much of the worldly knowledge, but at least I mean of the deen. Learning your deen is a key, it's a principle that all we should focus on. We should have that as the most important thing in our lives. Everything else comes. You take classes, I sometimes, honestly, and I don't say this because I want to say that I look at the PhD study, I'm thinking like, I want my money back. Because what great knowledge have they given? Seriously. Not much. But subhanAllah, the idea is, but when we come to the deen, we don't spend that much time. We spend very little time. So Musa alayhi salam accompanied Al-Khidr, and he told them, I'll be patient. So in order to seek knowledge, you have to be patient. I think if you're a doctor, you know that stuff. Study day and night, and you wanted to achieve certain things, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of patience. So he said, I will follow you, and I promise to be patient. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave knowledge to Al-Khidr, he did not give to Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam only judge of what he knows and what he sees. They get on a ship, he pokes a hole in the ship. Generally, when you poke a hole in the ship, it's going to sink. Water is going to go inside of it. So Musa alayhi salam admonished Al-Khidr for that. And he said, so these poor people, give us a ride to the other shore, and you made a hole in the ship. He said, I think you're going to get any patient. He said, oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. They move on and they find a child, and then he literally killed the child. Now some people may say, oh, how rough this is. Oh, look at this. They do not understand. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take a child for good reason. He knows with his wisdom, Allah with his wisdom. Musa alayhi salam saw this as a big problem. This is, how can you do such a thing? How can you take a life with no justification? This is truly something I object to. And rightfully so, we should do the same. Because we don't know the unseen. We should object to anything we see. But if it happens and it's beyond our control, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to happen. Until he comes to this town, and they needed food and a place So they asked the people of the town, فَأَبَوْا أَيُّ ضَيْفُهُمَا. They literally rejected to have them as guests. As they walking by, there was a wall that is collapsing. So Sayyidina al-Khidr tells Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, he said, what if let's build this wall and adjust? He said, subhanAllah. And we asked them for food, and they didn't give us. Why should we build a wall for them? One for one. He said, that's it. That's the end of our journey. Nabi Sallallahu said, Rahim Allah Musa alayhi salam. If he would only be patient, he would have learned more. But Akhi Musa alayhi salam. So when you look at these stories, and we all know that. We know the meaning, obviously. A king was taking every ship that passes by. A small hole in the ship, actually, the ship made it to the other side while they were working on that. King passes by, he sees a ship that's broke down. Kept on going. Blessing for these people. We don't know. We don't know what the blessing is. Like you don't know which deed you're going to do, I will put you into Jannah. Nobody knows. You do your salah, you do your ibadah, do everything. You do your zakat, you help this, you help this. You're trying to save yourself, but you don't know which deed will save you at the day of judgment. The Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, فَاتَّقُوا النَّارَ وَلَوْ بِشِقِّ تَمْرَةٍ. Protect yourself from the hellfire even with half a day. What's half a day? Half a day. There's nothing. But if you give to someone sincerely, this could save you. So don't think it has to be magnanimous, but it should be based on your abilities. Now, the child, if he would have grown up, he would have fed his parents agony and torture. Wallahi, I know these examples. All of us know somebody with a child, they're the worst child. Sometimes the parents say, I wish they're dead. SubhanAllah. But they're alive. It's also a test. You do your best and pray to Allah to protect them and to guide them, to bring them to the fold of Islam. So, and then the third people, that shows they were saying, a scholar said that the fathers of these children, orphans who own this piece of land with that walls on, the father they were righteous. They said it's the seventh grandfather, not the immediate parents. So sometimes what you do today may impact the 7 generations. It may impact, so it's not just the immediate one. So goodness doesn't just get diluted in one. It stays with Allah. You do today, you never know. That's why Allah, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, if the Qiyamah starts and in your hand you have fasila, like a plant it. SubhanAllah, the Qiyamah starts, should make salah, making dua. Plant it. People plant a tree and they say, why you plant a tree that's probably not going to bear fruit anytime very soon? Maybe you die and this thing's still not even bearing fruit. So, yeah, inshallah, when it bear fruit, I will get the difference. You think ahead? We must think ahead as well. So what we do will impact our offspring. And we have to be aware that knowledge can be either for us or against us. And the best of knowledge is knowledge about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and knowledge about the Sunnah of Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We should learn that, okay, I'm not saying that we should like sit down every day 4 or 5 hours and study. But at least put in your head, today I need to learn something. All right, I can read 1 page of it. 1 page. Make a commitment with yourself and your family. Today I will learn hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. These are the ibadat. Now when I go with dealing with people, all right, I mean, I have issue with this or this or this. Maybe I can find a way to resolve my issues. And people should accept that. It's good. We're not perfect. And we all make mistakes. We should always seek to correct ourselves. And as long as we're doing it for Allah's sake, it shall succeed. The effort will be successful. Now, the last fitna is fitnatul sulta wal jah wal ulf. Now, this is the fitna of basically having power, being in power. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did mention Dhul Qarnayn, the two were now the righteous man, righteous king. Now people said a lot of people said he's Alexander says it's not true, but all the scholars said that this was the king that Allah gave him knowledge, gave him power, he roamed the earth. And only to establish Shara Allah, to establish the deen of Allah. He found people worshiping the sun, worship the sun. Allah, the one who created the sun, he worshipped the sun. And he found many of these examples of people who needed help, and he built basically the wall for Ya'juj and Ma'juj. Now Ya'juj and Ma'juj exist, and they're alive today. Where Allah knows best. But every day they dig at that wall. And then there are very little left in the wall. And then they go home. Say we'll come back tomorrow. Until one day, they don't say inshallah. That's why you say, always say inshallah. Always. وَلَا تَقُولَنَّ لِشَيْءٍ إِنِّي فَاعِلٌ ذَلِكَ غَدًا إِلَّا أَن يَشَاءَ اللَّهُ. Don't say I will do something tomorrow unless you say inshallah. Inshallah, inshallah. Regardless of what people say, you must always say inshallah. Until one time they did, when they did, they say we'll come back and finish tomorrow, inshallah. And then they'll come out. مِن كُلِّ حَدَبٍ يَنْسِلُونَ. They'll come out. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that the example of all of us and Ya'juj and Ma'juj is basically like a black cow, male cow, with white hairs inside. With the white, and their numbers is the rest. They'll come, they'll drink rivers and lakes. They'll come, they cause destruction on earth. That is a big fitna. Don't ever wish to be into this fitna. Fitna with Dajjal. Dajjal, he comes, Allah gave him so much power. Literally, he brings someone from dead to life. Get up, he gets up. You see that your father is standing up. And said, oh, you are Allah. It's not Allah. Well, our. Yeah, this wicked eye. And Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam gave us the sign. And he told us if you read and memorize 10 surah, 10 ayat, surah al-Kahf, you'll be protected from a Dajjal. Dajjal can come out. A lot of people say in many forms, but the followers of Dajjal are many. And if we ever reach that time, this is the time where a person would wish to be under the ground rather than above the ground. Nobody's guaranteed. Like some people say, I wish I was at the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Don't wish. There was the uncle of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He was not Muslims. Alhamdulillah, you're Muslim. You're now. Alhamdulillah, you have iman. You have faith. Unless you wish to have been a Muslim, that's a different story. So, these are the fitan. So, fitnatu. So, what's the first fitna? Let's see if anybody memorized with me now. Fitnatul iman. What's the second fitna? What's the third fitna? Al-ilm. What's the fourth fitna? How? People are with positions, sometimes they can like sign a decree and change a lot of things. If you're ever in a position, make sure that position, what you do is only to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not use that to abuse people. Because there'll be a time when you have absolutely no power. And the consequences of falling victim to becoming not able to pass this fitna are generally because we abandon Quran. Because Allah said at the beginning of the surah, Alhamdulillah alladhi anzala ala abdihi al-kitab. هذا الكتاب, this book, the Quran, ما في عوج. There's no bend, like we've said. There's no changes in it. It's a straight. Our job is to follow. Our job is to obey Allah's command, according to the Sunnah of the Prophet of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then at the end of the surah, at the end of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then said, قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ الْبَحْرُ مِدَادًا لِكَلِمَاتِ. See that now? It's also ended with the book. Kalimatullah is in the book. If that ocean, of that sea, was ink, and you would write the word of Allah will not finish. قُلْ لَوْ كَانَ الْبَحْرُ مِدَادًا لِكَلِمَاتِ لَنَفِدَ الْبَحْرُ. That sea will become dry. وَلَوْ جِئْنَا بِمِثْلِهِ مَدَدًا. And even if we added more seas to write the words of Allah. So, if we can leave tonight, we must have deliverable. Like any gathering, you sit in it, you must leave with something that you can achieve. Maybe a little commitment for yourself that today we will begin a new page where we will open a new page with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We'll ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then we will not abandon the Quran. We'll make commitment that every day we read one page. Every day. Just one page. Wallahi, one thing about the Quran, when you read the Quran once, twice, 3 times, sometimes you think like, well, it's because Shaitan now come in and everything comes in your way. Because now it's yourself comes in your way. You want to sleep, you want to have the right place, you want to have the right mushaf, you want to have the right spot. You open the phone, you watch this. There's all kind of things. But if we commit ourselves to, inshallah, to dedicate some time and start slowly. Don't ever start too big because you gotta stop. Why? أحب الأعمال إلى الله. The best deed to Allah. أدومها وإن قل. What is continuous, but it's smooth. So inshallah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from us that which is good, to forgive our sins. If I have said something that was good, that's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I've said something that was incorrect, that was from me and Shaitan. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك اللهم من كل ذنب وأتوب إليك وجزاكم الله خير. بارك الله
فيك. Brother Ashraf, for this very meaningful halaqah. So like you said that like what we should do is that read a page for the read of the Quran. But like tell me what's the advice for the people who non-Arabs, we don't understand the Quran because it's a different language. So what do you advise us that when we read that page, we should also try to understand the
when I say read it one page, I really also meant that. Thank you for clarifying that, of course. Yeah, we should understand it. Read with understanding. One page. When I say one page, I mean, obviously, if you, most of the non-Arabs, they, mashallah, they read the Quran better than the Arabs sometimes. But what I also definitely would be explanation, tafsir, and they have a lot of these available, mashallah, that where you can learn. And I see some of the brothers I joined with them as well. They have halaqah and wudu, and brother, mashallah, explain these things. So, mashallah, it's good. So, yes, I agree with you. We should also learn the meaning of these. Begin with the short stories and keep going. Like, Qul huwallahu ahad. We know what's the benefit of Qul huwallahu ahad. You know, this is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 3 times, you get the benefit of reading the Quran and so forth. Understand the meaning. Allah loved this story so much that we should love it. We should read it and understand the meaning. And yes, brother.
What do you think is better? To memorize a lot of Quran without understanding it, or you memorize a little Quran with good understanding of this Quran?
Well, we had an example in Sahaba. Like the question was, what is better, to memorize the whole Quran or to memorize little and without understanding, or to memorize little and with very well with understanding? It is best to memorize the Quran even if you don't understand it. Now, the reason I say this, that you would hope that a person who memorizes the Quran eventually will get the chance to understand the meaning of it. And also, so as to let the Quran to be forgotten. That's what happened a lot of time. Some people have what they call high impact. So there is benefits in both. There's benefits of one memorizing the Quran, and even though not understanding it, he still get benefits. However, the greater benefits would be for someone who read and memorize little, but understanding it. Because really, it's supposed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهُ. Allah mentioned the first thing is knowledge. اعبد الله على علم. Worship Allah based on knowledge, not based on memorizations. But we need people to memorize the Quran, because that is actually how the Quran goes from one generation to another. But sometimes the person who actually read well and understand the ahkam of the Makharij and so forth, he can teach those ones who don't want to memorize the whole Quran, but they understand the meaning of it. So yes, there's a great benefits, and I would recommend that the effort should be to memorize all of it and understand all of it. That would be, but it's a very good. Yes.
So it's the third part, which is you read it, you memorize it, but you don't apply it to your life.
Yes. Well, the idea is that, yeah. Again, here is the application is really something. Sahaba used to say, we would learn the ayah from the Quran, and we would never pass this to the second ayah until we have actually understood the meaning, understood the application. That's why when in Mecca, all the Quran was talk about Jannah, about Tawheed. Strong Tawheed develop your Muslim characters. When you have Tawheed, when you have a strong faith of La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah, you have full confidence. Now, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam went to Medina, now the ahkam began to come down. The Sahaba's heart and mind were ready to accept whatever Allah sent to them. There wasn't much talk about it, was just talk about say La ilaha illallah. That's why in Mecca, there was no hypocrites. In Mecca, everybody, you're either Muslim or not. Or why would you say you're a Muslim and you're not? When you get tortured or killed. But now, once they have developed the meaning of La ilaha illallah in their lives, that's why Bilal radiallahu anhu, I mean, as they were dragging him, he would say, Ahadul Ahad. Allah. See, Ahadul Ahad. So that's all his concern. They said, say our God, say this. It's, no, only Allah and Allah alone. Allah is in control of everything. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who creates me. Allah is the one who provides for me. So you have that understanding. Now, when you go to Medina, when the Hijrah happened and all the believers went to Medina, now all the rules began to come. When the ayah of Al-Khamr came down, he used to read. But when it said, the Sahaba heard about it, people said, they're like, immediately, whoever had anything, spit it out. Said the streets of Medina was full of rivers of wines. Khalas, end of story. There was no program to teach them how to quit. None of these things. They were not like alcoholic. All this is gone. Khalas, they accept the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because their heart is good. So, Allah.
I have a question. Last question. Okay, so if I want to read the Quran on my phone, do I need to have a wudu?
You don't need to have wudu when you read the Quran. Okay? It's best to have wudu, of course. But if you don't have wudu, it's okay.
So I can take the Quran.
You can read the Quran. A lot of scholars say it's just basically, لا يمسه المطهرون. Scholars say this ayah was actually talking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in heaven in the Lawh al-Mahfuz. The Quran is a Lawh in heaven. So, but here, do not let that prevent you. But if you're in the masjid, you should have wudu. But let's say if you're driving and you're traveling somewhere and you don't have wudu, you can still read the Quran.
That means even the woman in a period, she can touch the Quran.
Even the women can touch the Quran. Yes. Yes. They can read. Yes. Yeah. There's no reason not to read the Quran unless, certain places you can't read the Quran. Certain times, of course, there are a little bit, and this if you maybe one day, inshallah.
Yeah, we're going to discuss this.
Yeah, we can talk about
this is a very controversial.
Yeah, inshallah. We can discuss that inshallah at a time.
جزاك الله خير. جزاك الله خير.
That's right.